So I get the blessing of being able to take a shower or a bath every morning in this beautiful river. I use natural oils, Castile soap, but it get a little chilly. Ooh. I don't know what the weather is or what the water temperature is, but it's kind of chilly. But I don't know. I think it's a blessing that things that you would think is unfortunate, that could turn out, to put you down in the slump, end up being a blessing. Because I wouldn't have the opportunity to come out here every morning and visit nature and experience what it has to give every morning. It's different. Sometimes it's foggy. Sometimes it's, sometimes it's warm. Sometimes the water is warmer than the air. A lot of it has to do with how much energy it was able to absorb the night before. So, I don't know, it is beautiful out, that's for sure. But I'd like to give you a little insight on my world right now. I'm sure it's not permanent, but it is what it is, and we gotta accept for what it is every day, good or bad. Every event that we've had in our past have led us to this moment in our lives. And that's what you got to think about. So, like when people lose jobs, if that's ever happened, you can look at it as like, oh my God, I end the world, my bills, and then start worrying. Or you could have a positive attitude and say, I never liked the job anyway. It didn't make me happy. I just did it for the money. And now I can go and try something that I do enjoy. I'm not saying I'm in that situation right now, but I can see how people can get that way. Changed jobs recently. We got acquired by another company. Great company, I can tell just by the reviews and everything, and it's going to be great going forward. However, that's a little apprehensive, it's a little sketch because, the home office is over in New Jersey, New York, and they want me to move potentially. And I love it here. I do. There's everything that I could want. And my goal is to create an area of peace, love. I'm a retired veteran. So I retired in '08, and I see a lot of other veterans with PTSD. Unfortunately, I never had that. I had personal relationship issues like most people do in the military, but not anything war related that caught, that stuck in the mind that you can't get out of, right? So the flute, the handpan, the Tai Chi, the healing power of water, meditation. I wanted to offer that. Everything for me is self-taught. I didn't learn Tai Chi from a master, but I have a martial arts background. And back in 2008, not in 2008, but before I retired, I had about 5 years of martial arts training, and I wanted to start my own dojo, but at that time, young kids, I couldn't afford it. And it was in California, so the cost of living was expensive. I needed clientele and everything, but I did enjoy martial arts, but I was never taught inner chi, chi that you bring from within, that you create or you gather from your environment, like water and earth and the sun, and then apply it to manifest outwards, and hopefully inwards first, because you got to heal yourself. And I just recently got into breath work. There's a site called Ascension University, or Foundations of Ascension. A gentleman by Jake Wan, he originally started this organization, and it's about dropping out of the third dimensional reality. Well, we're run by our senses, and we enjoy physical pleasures, and I think pleasures in life were meant to be. However, they're not meant to take over our lives. So we have to filter and be able to digest some of the past traumas that we've had. And I think breath work gets you in the best spot mentally, in your own space, to be able to go inside your body and pull those trapped emotions out that we weren't able to express for some reason. You know, a lot of times, especially young boys, they're told that not to cry because crying isn't for big boys. But then they were taught not to release those type of emotions, and then they get trapped, and then your energy gets unbalanced, your nervous system becomes unbalanced. And through breath work, I've learned it was one of the missing keys, and I'm fortunate to have found the site that helps me out with that and guides you through the process, which I've learned on my own but since then. But it really allows you to get in the place where your analytical mind doesn't exist, and you're not analyzing why, or you just understand it happened, and you're trying to process your feelings through it. You know, you're expressing the feelings that you probably should have felt, you know, when it first happened, but then you trap those feelings forever. And there were things in my past that, not major, but they were key events that shaped my who I am today, you know. And I think we all can do that. In the process, we become better people. In the process, we remove our limitations, and we become ultimately the best human being that we can be, you know. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm not 100% there, but I think in doing that, or in doing, you know, the self-maintenance on our past, I think it allows us to be able to express our feelings better, and everything about you becomes better. You know, fourth density is more about, instead of selfless kind of mentality, or self mentality, more about self and fear, anxiety, you know, especially in this political environment that, you know, we want to breed, you know, cohesion and unity, but it affects us. So I don't listen to the news, because what doesn't directly affect me right now just causes anxiety, you know. So why be like that, and why be that in your life? But I think overall, when you work on yourself and you become a better human, you're able to be selfless, right? You're more about helping others and love. It's just a better place. I know, for me anyway. Gosh. Wow. Woo. That feels so good. Every morning when I come out, and this is what our mind does. Oh, it's too cold. You know, it's going to be so cold, you're going to have to run in, you know, don't forget your towel, and I bring something to wipe off, but I don't let it deter me from coming out here. I think doing it is important, not only for my physical self, I'm cleaning, and we all have to do that, but it's mental. It cleanses you mentally too. I just want to share what I experience every day. So this is just a small part, but this is the Black River. I mean, you can see crystal clear all the way down. The waters are amazing. It's so refreshing. And like I said, when I'm in here doing Tai Chi or taking a bath, I appreciate the oneness I have with water. I think everybody connects more with, the elements that, I don't know, give them power, I guess. Years ago, I was on the beach with my son and daughter, and we had this amazing experience of sunset. And that day, I realized I had a connection with water. And water is life. We're 75-80% of water, depending on what organ, your brain mostly. I mean, it has more water, of course. But I think vibration and frequencies, and that affects, our body. And because obviously it affects water. And I didn't do it this morning, but normally I bring my flute down and I sing to the water, and I make sure it knows that I appreciate what it does for me. It's a good feeling. I think everybody should explore all their options. I'm a city guy. I don't like the big city. I don't like the hustle and bustle of the city. I'm more, rural, I have my Jeep. I'm living in my RV right now. Not forever, but it eventually I want to just tour around and look at every national park that we have in this country. When I was in the military, I was able to travel all over the world, and I saw the outside of the United States more so, but when you come in back to the States, you just feel like you have such little time and you don't have time to explore. And when you're in the military, you pretty much transfer 3 to 5 years. It's a thing. And then you uproot your family and you go somewhere else. And if you don't have the opportunity to enjoy what that area has to offer, you miss it. And I felt I missed it. So anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. Why I do what I do and why I'm exploring, music and frequency, and its ultimate goal is to help others heal through that process, getting in with their inner chi and be able to circulate energy at least, to help them heal, unbalance their nervous system. And like I said, breath work. It's important to concentrate on your breath. So what I would recommend to everybody is, if you have an opportunity to explore Jake Wan's Instagram, okay, and he has some really good insights about ascension, on how to get out of the third density mentality of physical needs. I was always the one that wanted the best of the best and material stuff, and I mean that stuff doesn't appeal to me anymore. It's more about, like I said, service to others and the things that I do and that relate to that. That's what I'm all about. So I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me in my morning ritual. It's a beautiful day. Just remember, something wonderful is going to happen today. I say that all the time, and it does. And when you're ready for it, it opens up your heart to allow it to happen. Well, have a good day.